Welcome to another episode of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. Hi, I'm Kevin McLemore. I'm your host of this show, but I'm joined with my co-host, some wonderful people. But before I make the introductions, let me tell you how this all got started. I have over 300 motivational quotes that I had created for the contents of my books. I was always curious on how one quote landed on another and what the interpretation and perspective of that quote. So I gathered a couple of my good friends and we had this conversation, and that launched a beautiful part of the show. So we meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am joined with my co host, Arnez Kinsey. I'm also joined with Francine Tesla. Tesla. I just made her a family member of the Tesla family, whatever. So that way you get your stock options this weekend. Daryl Mack, pretty boy coming from the East Coast up there, always styling. And then Chris Everett. For those of you that don't know, oh, Google her name. History shows up all day long. We got another brother coming from the East Coast, Mr. Harold. I'm talking about when a brother lays some knowledge on you. I said, don't turn the page to the next book, just start taking notes. And before you know it, we have Miss Blanca Greenstein. She is the host of a show called Law of Life, a similar show to ours, hailing out of Florida. She also is one of the most positive people that I know. Normally, she joins us in red. Today, she joins us in white, just the opposite. And then, poet as you know it, our educator, Miss Denise Lopes. I'm also joined by the beautiful couple. And some of you guys may look at that and say, "Oh, yes, Stefan is on the show." No, that is Jessica Chichester and her beautiful playmate. She calls her husband. He's a Chippendale, Mr. Peter Chichester. And the voice of our show. Today we have a wonderful quote. And I'm going to introduce Mr. Otis Spencer. He is the voice of our show, and we're going to talk about love. Otis, bring us the quote today.
Good morning. And today's quote is Love makes your soul crawl from its hiding place by Zora Neale Hurston.
All right. And as always, the person that brought in the quote is the first person that is up on deck. All right. Buckle your seatbelts, hold on tight. We may be flying above, and you may feel a little turbulence. Here comes Larnez Kinsey. Larnez, tell us about this quote and how it landed on you.
Okay. I love Miss Zorani Hurston's quote. Her insightful observation reminds us that love possesses alchemical power to transform. It liberates us from the confines of self-imposed limitations, enabling us to live, to feel, to express with a depth and authenticity previously unimagined. Love invites our soul to dance in the realm of the infinite possibilities, to engage with life in a more profound and meaningful way. My beloved, as they say in Harlem, let us heed the call of love. Allow your soul to be guided outside of that hiding place into a radiant light of divine expression. Let love be the force that propels us toward our higher selves, fostering connection that uplift and inspire, nurturing growth that transcends mundane and weaving the fabric of a life rich with purpose and joy. Love is not just an emotion, it's a divine principle. It's the very essence of our being. It's the connective tissue that binds the universe. When we open our hearts to love, and I just heard this quote this week, when you put your heart in that love posture, we open our souls to the limitless expanse of divine creation, embarking on that journey of spiritual awakening, fulfillment. Let love lead the way. It is through love that we truly define ourselves and we find our place in this magnificent Garden of Eden that we live in today. That's how this quote hit me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I telling you, I'm gonna tell you. Uh, Love will expose you. And if you have not been exposed, remember what Larnaz just said. Harold Carm McCoy. How does love, how does this quote land on you?
Love is a supreme degree of understanding. And there's some chemicals involved. And those and you know, if you were to take tears of joy and tears of sorrow and put them underneath a microscope, they actually do have two different chemical makeups, because the spirit of love, or the energy of love, has a different chemical. It's triggered by a different chemical, or it's communicated through the body with a different chemical. So that supreme degree of understanding gives you love. And the love is for, it's a passion. Love is a part of passion, and the love for humanity, the love for what you do, the love for the love of life, regardless to whatever ups or downs. Life is just beautiful. Even with the downs are beautiful when you put them in its proper perspective. When you get over it and you put it in its proper perspective, even the downs are beautiful. But the thing about love is that it allows you to see the beauty in the downs. It's the spirit of love that allows you to forgive. It's the spirit of love that allows you to move on when those have harmed you. And it's not even the fact of a specific love for a specific person. It's just a love for humanity, a love for righteousness, a love to want to do the right thing, a love for the good. And that type of love can raise you up from your darkest places, just by having just that a little drop of love can raise you up from some of the darkest places. And it's because you have this supreme degree of understanding as to who you are and what you're trying to do. I grew up a 5%er, and there are certain teachings and lessons that are taught, and there's what's called 12 jewels. And the 10th jewel is love. It's love, peace, and happiness. And it's the three of those that kind of go together. After you have achieved freedom, justice, and equality, you will then have love, peace, and happiness. So that supreme degree of understanding of what love is, that's what allows you to come up out of some of the darkest places in your life.
Love does shine a light on all, like the links in the chain, as Harold says, that grace and gratitude are foreshadowed by love. So Chris Everett, all right, another thespian. She's been active in a play in Harlem. I mean, not Harlem, Boston, New York. I mean, Boston. Guy, I'm geographic. I'm failing the class today on. But anyway, this quote: "Love makes your soul crawl out from its hiding place." How does that land on you?
Yeah, hi everyone. Really glad to be here today. I've been away a little while. So this quote, love makes your soul crawl from its hiding place. I'm thinking about a friend and I, we often talk about love and freedom. And he always says love is like the freedom to allow someone to be on their journey, to be who they are. And so when I hear this quote, love making your soul crawl from its hiding place. The soul is not something that can be contained. It's just so expansive. It's everywhere and it's everything. And so, for me, it's like love allows you to be everything. It allows your mm, it, it allows your full expression, right? Like if you let it out, if you let your soul out, if you let your love out, you can't be stopped, and it comes back to you tenfold. So that's what I got when I was reading this quote.
Well, something you allowed me, in just the way that you preface it, this quote, to allow my love to come out from its hiding place. And it's strange, it's ironic, is that for our listeners, especially our male listeners, this is a conversation that we normally don't have amongst other men. We'd express it to our children, we express it to our pets, we express it to our significant others. But in a conversation of men, love is a conversation that's muted most of the time. So I'm glad we have some strong men on this platform that can openly express from the heart love is. And I know Peter Chichester is going to go ahead and explain that while he's sitting there with Gloria Estefan. And so do me a favor, Otis, for one more time for our listeners that just tuning in late on this Sunday morning. Tell us this quote again.
Love makes your soul crawl from its hiding place.
All right.
That's
Peter.
that's some truth. Going right from the Bible, right? Love conquers all. And kind of tapping on just a couple people that spoke so far, Harold, kind of talked about, it being able to bring you out from anything that when life punches you in the face, right? And knocks you down to such a point that you feel like you can't get back up. It's that love from the spirit, from your soul, from your creator, right? That he loves you, right? And that's what you have to reconnect to. And I kind of can go back to my lowest point, right? It was 2010. I got hit with a triple, the trifecta of life, right? I went through a divorce, a bankruptcy, and a death of a parent simultaneously. At 40 years old, I moved in back with my mother and my 3 children. So it was a very low time for me, but it was through Jessica, really. I mean, my mom loves me, obviously, family, but it was a super low point in my life. And I like to say, God, says, talk about fishermen, right? And teaching someone to catch a fish and feeding them for life. Jessica to me was God's bait, right? He put it on the hook and I bit and he reeled me in and took me back into his love and his fold. And through that, I've grown more in the last 10, 12 years we've been together than I have in the 40 years prior, just because of the love that Jessica shared with me, how she taught me how to love other people into a whole different expanse that I never understood before. So again, just like this group, each one teach one, each one reach one. Jessica was my link to that love, to understanding love on a totally different level, and that's available to anybody once they make that connection. So I try to share that with everybody. So that's what it hit me very hard.
And thank you for sharing that. And love allows you to be vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you're honest with your soul. And when you're honest with your soul, you're expressing your love without words. So I appreciate that. Blanca, the universe, the law of life. This quote, love makes your soul crawl out from hiding. How does this quote land on you?
I think that when you find love, you can be your true self and you can let all the different sides of your soul be shown. You can, and everything is beautiful to the two people that love each other, or the two beings or souls that love each other, whether it's a human whether it's a pet, whether it's a child. You know, it's like when you really love someone, they are beautiful to you in every way, and you accept them, you embrace them despite whatever flaws they have. So I think it's really about acceptance and the feeling of being accepted and truly loved is the most beautiful feeling in the world. And I think that's what makes a good parent as well. When a parent loves its child, I look back, you know, the way that my parents spoke to me every single day. They did tell me that I was loved and I was beautiful, and it infused so much confidence, and so many beautiful things stemmed from that communication of them. So it's not just romantic love, it's every type of love. Is full, true acceptance, and what can grow from that love is magnificent.
Stars shining on love. Love is resilient, and I appreciate that share. Um, let's see, you know, Bill Mack, you know, let's see what another poet, a guy, an educator over in New York, how this quote lands on you and how love crawls out from its hiding place. How does that fit on you?
First of all, good morning. Good morning to everyone. Um, when I think about this quote, I particularly look at and feel how the quote resonated with me as an educator, and I think about how, just from a standpoint of how people looked at me as this, I'm an ex-football player, this big guy, and becoming an educator working with young people has brought that love out of me, because it's taught me to be compassionate, patient, loving, vulnerable, transparent. So all of those things through love, I learned through just allowing myself to love and be vulnerable and be open. And I found out different things about myself that I never knew, or I didn't think that I was capable of. Loving someone in spite of, allowing myself to be free. And through love, it's like really changed me, opening my heart up, even personally, and relationships, just allowing me to be free and just to be myself and be vulnerable. So that being said, that has it's like a part of my personality that I never knew there. And I learned that just allowing myself, that came out through just allowing myself to love freely, just being myself and just being vulnerable and not second guessing myself. So it like the quote says, it crawls from up under me, and I'm like, wow, I never knew this part of me really exists. So I never allowed it to come out. So you know, it was powerful for me.
And love does have power. Love has the power to build, and love has the power to destroy. Hard to get and hard to hold.
Yes.
Francine Tesla. This quote comes out of the hiding place, and I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Francine is a medium, and I'm so glad I don't have to follow her quote, her share.
And unmute yourself, Francine.
Takes me a minute. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me, everyone. So this quote really got to me. We started the conversation sort of yesterday. I was with Lornez, and I was texting Kevin, or vice versa. So love, to me, liberates our souls from their hiding places. Is sort of like how a butterfly emerges from their cocoon. spreading its wings for the first time, they've been so dormant for so long. It wakens the beauty of the world and of the wonder of being alive. So, and also like when they go to fly, it's really exhilarating. It's really becoming oneself. And basically, we're finally free to embrace our true self and let the guard down, basking in our warmth and the light of love's embrace and God's embrace. And it's a truly magical feeling that fills our heart with joy and the spirit of hope, because hope is part of love. It's a really important thing, because if we don't have hope, people can't really go on. They just kind of go through the motions. And the other thing that hit me is, picture a mother bird with her soft feathers, and she's really protective over her little babies. She's nudging her young baby out of the cozy nest that they've been in for weeks. And as the baby is hesitant and standing at the edge of the nest, basically the mother bird spreads her wings and she shows the baby how to fly, coaxing her. And it's a really beautiful thing. The baby then flaps its wings and then feels the wind beneath them. And with each flap, that baby has the confidence and gains that confidence and discovers a new world of possibilities, from soaring high in the sky to exploring new territories. So love is like what Larnez and Kevin did with me yesterday. They kicked me, and then I got a good morning to come into the room this morning. So it pushes us to break out of our shells, you know. So that's basically how that hit me, and I still have chills. So
Well, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, the other part of that story, as a mother bird shows a baby bird how to flaps its wings, it also pushes the baby bird to the edge of the nest. And when it does not take off, she nudges it a little bit and
mhm,
says, "Good
mhm,
luck." Love allows you to go out there and be free and explore. And if you don't flap your wings fast enough or hard enough, the only thing that hurts is not the pushing out of the net, is the landing that hurts. So learn how to fly when
yep,
someone loves you. So
yep,
so I joke around and says that Jessica looks a lot like Gloria Estefan. I did this for about 6 months with Chrissy Everett, and everyone started to Google the tennis star Chrissy Everett, and our Chrissy Everett showed up and go, "I thought she was different." I said, "No, that's her." So, hopefully, people will follow and see that Peter's one of the lead dancers in Chippendale. Gloria Estefan. So
My my Chippendale party, I'll tell you that.
there you go. Well, all right, we'll
They're
we'll,
mine.
we'll save we'll save time for that. How does this quote from Zora land on you?
Well, my favorite thing in the world to talk about is love. I mean, it's the most transformative thing, you know. My always one of my words for the year, last year, this year. I mean, I say it's one word, but it's big love, you know. And when we have love, love conquers all. Love just moves everything. And if love is like that bait and switch, that's, you know, we're the mouse and it's the cheese and it's pulling us out, um or like a baby that's in utero and it's coming out of the body, this transformation that love has the possibility of shedding into our life, that it's destined to do, makes us not care at all what we are crawling through. And so it's like we could be going through the most devastating things in our lives, right? I say that like my childhood, it was filled with a lot of love, but I'm sure like many of us, right? It was also filled with a lot of suffering. And I had to tap into my why really early on. And my why was God and God's love once I experienced that at such a young age. And it just caused me to have a fixated view and to crawl feverishly toward love. And I remember when I was 14 years old, when I was a kid, I always just had a desire to be a missionary. And when, like on the weekends, I would volunteer for, with kids and with communities that just needed extra help, and with, the elderly. And when I was 14 years old, I left my family and I went to Russia. And I went back a couple of times to Russia, to Finland, to Estonia, then to Africa. And when I was first at 14 years old and I was on this missions trip, and I saw the kids were just, they were wearing the same clothes every day. If they didn't have any other extra pairs of shoes, one kid lost his shoe, he was crying what was going to happen when he went home. And when I came back from that trip, I was fully transformed by the power of love. And I realized it's not about stuff. All anybody wants is love. That's it. And when we have that love, when we can tap into that unending resource, mountains will move in our life. And if not, we will make them move. That love will make them move. And so just showing up with anything in that posture of love. And, in my life, I continue to crawl out of my hiding place, right? We go through teenage years, we go through trials. We're still crawling. We're still crawling. We're focused on what Francine says, that hope, right? And that's biblical too. Without hope, there is no love, right? So we're crawling through our lives. And really, it was at the end of my weightlifting career, when Peter was going through all his stuff, at the end of my weightlifting career, I was, you would think that the guys that I was working out with were supportive, and you had to be strong. I was in an abusive relationship. We were with really toxic people. I was actually, abusing myself through the heavy weightlifting and the training that I was doing. And I was just trying to crawl out. And when I met Peter is when my soul just really lit up. And I realized, wait a minute, I don't need all this toxicity. Like, I'm a good person. I'm worth loving myself, and because I want to love someone else. I want to love him. And it was that love that gives me that, I'll just saying that, like, that unending fountain of, I want to get better. I want to sharpen myself every day to be better for my partner, so we can show up in our most authentic ways, and not just fall into love, but challenge each other to grow. And it's that love that transforms societies, communities, people, civilizations, the world. And I always say, when then there's tough times, let's go to the bedroom, right? Let's hash it out in this capacity, because that is divine worship. That's worship to God. That's blessing each other. That's the divine union. And that's the kind of union that, if you don't have a partner right now, or if you do, you can have that union with yourself. It's that love that we can show ourselves and show our creator and our communities, that will in turn always give us a never-ending, overflowing cup. That's how that lands on me.
And with that said, to our listeners, I want you to pay close attention to each and every person share on here. We spend our whole adult lives talking about a return on investment. We live in a capitalistic mindset. But one thing I've learned, and I'm learning from you guys, the emotion of where everything starts, where your engine, it starts from the heart. Take a piece of every single conversation you have that you've listened to, that's been shared with you up until we get to Otis, and apply that from your heart. Because I truly feel, and this could be personal, is that when you touch a person's heart, you change the view on not only the way they see or the way they react to things and other people. So I appreciate the way that you brought that. And couples, if you're having some issues and you don't understand love, take Jessica's advice and go to the other room and work it out. Peter, you're a lucky guy.
Blessed.
Otis. All right, Otis. I am so glad I don't have to. Well, I still got to follow you. This is not working out in my favor at all. Otis, give us the quote one more time, and go ahead and use that golden voice of yours to go ahead and open the door to everyone's emotional spirit and talk about Zora's quote.
Absolutely. The quote is, "Love makes your soul crawl from its hiding place." And listening to Jessica made me think of something else, that if you don't love yourself, how do you expect anyone else to love you? If you're down, you need help, open up. But then love is almost like a superhero. You come out of your hiding place, you have all this strength to create wonders, but yet, like Superman, you have vulnerabilities. It opens you up. And when you're around people that you shouldn't be, or you love someone that you shouldn't be, love is blind, and others can see it where you cannot, but yet you won't listen until you get hurt.
You got to listen. You got to listen. So, with that said, oh God, this was probably one of the top
Yeah, but you
shows that we.
forgetting me today.
I'm not forgetting you. I'm just segueing
Come on, let's
to you.
go. Come on.
I'm segueing to you. You won't even let me get it set up.
No,
I
because
had
you're
this.
already going to say your part. You're the last one. You can't go before me. I can't
I'm
follow
not.
you. I'm sorry.
Denise, I am not going to forget you. I was setting this up in order for this to be the killer part of the show, and you just kind of like, love also has to have patience. Love actually has to
I
allow
have
the
been patient this whole time. Sorry, I've been patient.
you know something. I will tell you what a woman wants, a woman gets. That's what love is. Denise
Exactly.
Love,
You know how it is.
educational, super, super passionate person. When I talk about someone that loves, she is a protector of our young people. She is a warrior of truth and honesty. Even though she stands only at 5 foot something, she is as
4'11". I'm
tall.
not even five. I'm 4'11".
Yeah, I just put you in heels. Didn't you see the picture back there? You were 5'1" when I saw you last. But anyway, she is a poet of spoken words. She has had her heart broken several times, but because she has surrounded herself with people that are better than super glue, we have pieced together and made her whole. And she is by far a gift that keeps on giving. And God, thank you for Denise Lopes. Denise, how does this quote land on you?
Oh, this code is heavy, especially what I've been going through at work. For me as an educator, love is a verb, is action. So for me, when I was getting like being discriminated, my students being discriminated, I had a student with trauma, did not have any support. Every time he would have a meltdown, scream. We had to evacuate my room a few times. Like I always do, I lead with love. So I knew that kid needed love. So I started leading with love, like talking to him, like showing him that we care, that because he came from a refugee camp. So for him, he was used to changes. So it's like, is this going to be permanent? Am I moving? Like he would hold his stuff. He would not let anybody take his stuff. So I start talking to him, like showing him love. Or when he would have his fit, I would go down on the floor, lay down, just rub his back and holding him. So the love that he felt now without support and with the other two tutors that we have when he goes to specials, they start doing the same thing. So this kid just changed. Like he wants to come to school. He comes every day. He's giving everybody a hug. He doesn't want to leave. And that was without administrative support, without anybody, because he's a, a student of color. Every time he had to fit, one psychologist or one person would come. If it was a white student, people would come to the room for next door because they had problems with other kids. So I decided to focus in my room, give my students the love, like focus on what I could control, and leading with love. That changed everything in my room. So we are a family. Everybody's like, yeah, Gina, you having a good day today? Today you were good. Like, give me a hug. So he's like made friends in the classroom. So the kids are not afraid of him anymore. Like he's gonna throw stuff. So we all lead with love. I'm the example in my classroom. So every day they come to give me a greeting. I have the greeting in my room. Which one you gonna pick? All my students pick hug. Like now they starting to pick the other ones, but they'll pick hug. They'll give me a hug. Can I have another one? Can I have another one? So my room, it's all about the love and the hug. And I've seen a difference. And it makes my day bright. And I look forward to go to work now because I didn't want to go to work anymore because I'm like, I'm not dealing with this, but the kids need me and they need my love, and I'll keep doing it until I can't do it anymore.
And thank you. And Denise, I was not going to forget you because I knew you had something to bring as all of the wonderful people that are on here. It is so hard to follow Jessica and Peter. It's hard to follow Daryl. Hard to follow Harold. It's hard to follow Blanca. It's hard to follow Chris, Francine, Otis, and it's really, really hard to follow Larnez. So I'm going to try to do my best with my share. Otis, one more time. Will you give us Zora's quote?
Love makes your soul crawl from its hiding place.
And so when I look at this quote, for those of you that are not in this circle of trust, and I think trust is one of those things you find love in. When you trust someone, it makes it easier to love. My circle of friends, especially the people in here, I wake up at all hours of the night and I always write down the first thoughts that come into my head. I normally don't come with an explanation, even though when my sister hears it, she goes, "Why? What makes you think that?" And I said, use your imagination. These are my thoughts and just happen to be sharing. So those of you that come on the show that get these random thoughts in the morning, that's how my head works. So earlier this week, I said, love is voluntary. To stay in love is a decision. And I'm going to translate that quote. I woke up and it's been a year since I got a chance to talk to my youngest son. We had a conversation that where one shut down, the other left the door open, and he made a choice. And love is a choice. It's an emotional choice. And sometimes when you're not connected with your heart, you seem to act out and not understanding how the other person may feel. We talked about this before in earlier episodes of this show. Sometimes you sit by someone and you may be feeling a kind of way. You don't know what that person's going through. They could have lost someone, lost their job. It could be the happiest day of their life, whatever. But for some reason, whatever season we're in, we happen to pass on to someone else. And sometimes we just need to listen and learn. Now, with my oldest son, I look at him every single day like it's the first day I've ever saw him. I do that with my oldest daughter. But with my youngest son, I actually brought him into the world. I am the first person he had human contact with. Last week, something happened to me that reminded me of what love really is. Love is sacrifice. The picture behind me is our team. We came from different parts of the United States in order to meet to celebrate one of our beloved cast members, Naheem Garcia. He has his first starring role in a play, and we came there to support him. We came there collectively as a group. I had a 2.5-hour ride with Larnez, which I loved every minute of it. You think she's short on this stage, 2.5 hours, she never exhaled, and I loved every minute. But when we got to the Martin Luther King, Malcolm X Park, and I saw Gilda and James for the first time, David, I've been in his company, Larnez, I just met, Otis, I met for the first time, and Denise and some of our cast members were someplace else. We did a photo shoot because I wanted to rebrand the show not to reflect me, but I wanted to express my love to my friends. And when you talk about emotions, men don't say "I love you" enough. I say this all the time. Our show is a HR nightmare because I can say openly, Arnez, I love you. Francine, love you. Blanca, I love you. Chris, Denise, Jessica, Peter, Daryl, and Howard, I love you. And not have to worry about being canceled, criticized, condemned. There's no fear when you love. And I think that's what we need to overcome. We need to stop being afraid to be vulnerable. We need to stop being afraid to be self-expressive. And we need to stop being afraid to allow anything ever to conquer love. And so with that said, I hope you enjoyed the show. Hopefully that somewhere down the line, we have touched on a sense that you have not allowed yourself to be open to. And hopefully, if nothing short, if you have someone that you love and you have some difference, take Jessica's advice and go to the other room and work it out. All right. Love is one of those emotions that we need to hold higher than any other stand. my grandfather used to say that if if a man or woman doesn't break God's heart, he won't break yours. So I'm true to my faith. So with that said, I want to thank you. My grandfather always said, when you get to a point in life that you can help someone else, he said, reach one, teach one. I also want to say, if you ever want to be a guest on here, you go to RMK Productions and Network on our YouTube page, the information to the Zoom link. As long as you're positive, the door is wide open. And for those of you that like the show and you have a high call to action, feel free to share it. I think this is one of those shows that need to be shared and people need to think about it. So again, with that said, we're going to bring the show to an end. And like I said, how do we close the show? We do what, Larnez?
Fade to black.
And we're out. Thank you to my co-hosts, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming in and listening to the episode of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. I have a wonderful set of friends. Until next time, next week. Thank you, and we're out.